something in our fucked up state is something that is of another species off this planet. Now, so much till the Great Britain white people now address each other as, what's up, my nigga? What's up, my nigga? So white boys and white girls now is calling each other niggas by something that has been celebrated about us for years of our creativity. Music in the 20th century is black. I don't give a fuck what you might call any kind of music, country, bluegrass or whatever, it's all black. Fashion? Fashion too. Even the suit coat, that came from Europe or Africa, Nigeria. That's our shit. White man was in thing. We taught him how to do all them buttons and all that shit is all ours. There's no such thing as European fashion. That's all our shit. That's all our stuff, the coat of arms and all that. But the point I'm trying to make here is it created a new super being. Now this is the other part now. Follow me on this because this is what's getting ready to happen. So you, because see, we gotta, okay, here's a book called The DMT Spirit Molecule. First of all, let's say the first thing that shuts down melanin is stress. Okay. Well, damn, we stressed out like crazy. All you got to do is stress. It's not to just be out here in the street. Just go get a job. Just pressure. You see what I'm saying? Now, the DMT spirit molecule tells you that melanin is a biopolymer that by itself it can't do nothing because it's dormant. But it has to produce something to become extraordinary, and that is the DMT spirit molecule. Now, what they were saying here is it produces a hallucinogenics, and through mushrooms or through certain peyote and stuff, that's how we was able to tap into it. But you know, we used to tap into that. All our genius is tapping into this, but I'm going to show you this part. What used to be an act or something that you used to tap into, guess what? Evolutionary-wise or genetic-wise, we have now become the DMT spirit molecule. Now, I want you to hear me right now. Let me try to understand this. In the 1970s, you take some acid and you all spaced out. You was tripping, right? And that's because the melatonin, the acid blocked the rational functions of the mind that allow the melanin to go to another level. And you was tripping. But all of a sudden, what niggas was doing in the 70s as high is now our normal function. Motherfucking niggas is tripping. You get where I'm coming from? What used to be an hallucinogenic has now become a normal pathological lifestyle. Which means that even in, so now, you gotta understand now, we're going above some shit. Now follow me on this, I'm in the spirit now. Can't get this shit regular out on the street. Now, it might not be nothing to function in regular society. That's why we don't function good in society. But we are going to a new world beyond that. And what it is some other worldly shit that is being fucked up in this world that we ain't caught up to in the next goddamn world. You getting this stuff? Now try this thing again. Okay. Let me try it again now. Okay now, look. Everything is everything. Now, it's just like, oh, well, I'll tell you that in a minute. Let's go on this point here. What used to be tripping, what used to be something that we used to go to to get creative? It don't necessarily have to be, that's kind of strong hallucinogenics. It could just be some inspiration. One night I was listening to some Earth, Wind & Fire in 81. This was right before they quit. And I was listening to something, and I heard a sound in the damn music, and I jumped up in the goddamn house and was hollering, whoa, like that. And my mom and them didn't hear me, because they'd have thought I was going crazy. But I hit a damn note, and I went into something in which Maurice White and them was trying to explain. Now follow me here. What used to be something that we had to do some type of creative act through either drugs or through some type of poetic arts expression to create an alternative reality so we can go be great to the world. Now, we are doing this now, whereas we are not even functioning on this plane adequate because we are in another plane and we haven't caught up with it yet physically. You see where I'm coming from here? Now, I know I'm talking about there's a DVD out called Earth, Wind, and Fire, Shining Stars, which is the history. You can get it at Tower Records. Earth, Wind, and Fire, Shining Stars. It's a documentary. And Maurice White said he set out to create Earth, Wind, and Fire. He first had the old jazz musicians, and it was horrible. Then he scrapped that, got all the young boys, because Verdine White was 19, and he got some people around his age, and then they was going, and it was trying to get a certain level, to try to go to the next level, until they met up with Charles Stephanie, who did that. And that's when because they did Last Days in Time, Keep Your Head to the Sky, and it was big in the black community. But they met up with Charles Stephanie, and he did Open Eyes with Mighty Mighty on it, and Devotion. And then the next one, Charles Stephanie, they did That's the Way of the World. And when they did that, the motherfuckers went to another level. You see what I'm saying? Then they did Gratitude, and they did Spirit, and Charles Stephanie dies. Now, when Charles Stephanie dies, Maurice White says he was getting ready, he said it was like he had another person on the other side, and he said it went to another level because after that, it's the great album, All in All, with all that Ramesses' tomb, the pyramid. That's because Charles Stephanie was in the spirit world. And then they went from that, and they went to that I Am, and then they went to Faces. And he said, we just got off a tour from Kemet, and that went over black people's heads because they're getting dumb now. See, well, Stevie Wonder did the shit too. That motherfucker did Secret Life of Plants, and black people was like, but he had just came back. He had just come back from the Dogon. And there's a cave over there he could go once a year and he could see. So he did Secret Life of Plants. That's the motherfucker you need to be meditating to. Huh?
I see the star.
Yeah. So the key here is, he said he had another, and then he said, Maurice White said I was studying Egyptology and I was putting it in the music because I wanted to give it to the people. So when I hit that, when I got that Earth, Wind, and Fire, and I started hollering, I hit into something in which he was trying to convey. I just started hollering and stuff. So the point I'm trying to make here is, in so many words, our laggardness, our whatever you call niggas, because you can't figure this shit out. You know what I'm saying? They can do some stuff that's so irrational that it's unbelievable. And throw you for a loop. They got a surprise for you every damn day. And that's why somebody just haul off and shoot somebody, because it's something so irrational. What I'm trying to say is what you call craziness is a level that we done gone to that we're no good on the earth no more. Now, follow me on this. Follow me on this. I told you when the white man jumped this time, he threw dealing. Now let me explain this going on here. They had 4 new deities that came the day after the election. So that was the 3rd. 4 ancient Native American deities. I read them out in the earlier. And they were earth, water, fire, air, and ether. That means they got all the aspects of everything in the universe in the atmosphere. Now, let me explain something to you. This deity shows up. There's a prophecy of Lakshmi. They say that she has all the gods that ever was inside of her. So the arms is one entity, Shiva. The other ones is Indra. And it's all the same shit, Egypt or whatever. And she represents the Mayat figure that this is, because she got all the gods within her. So when she showed up recently, the first thing started doing was that she started changing certain atmospheres. So that Venus thing, the atmosphere started changing. Then these Native American spirits that came, earth, water, fire, air, and ether came. And this is what the deal is. And this is what the white man is over in Iraq trying to find something. And they got the dig sites because they know this. They know with maybe in a couple of months. No, they know the shit is happening now. I'll explain. But I'll explain what's happening. I'll give you proof. That the atmosphere is changing. We're the one that's changing it because we crazy. And we'll catch it. So the atmosphere is changing. Now what happened when the atmosphere changed? That means his guns and his bombs and all the stuff that makes him his warrior that you think you can't fight with, they don't work, because what makes them work is they have only harnessed the energy that's relevant to this atmosphere that make gunpowder, fire, make nuclear stuff work. Now, if the atmosphere changes, none of that shit works. You get it? The atmosphere is changing now. Why is it cold? It's 30 degrees in Beaumont, Texas, which is only a couple of miles from the Gulf of Mexico.
And it snows.
12 inches.
Why is it freezing down south? That's because they have to take the harp and make it as much cold all over, because if they didn't do it with the harp, which is the weather modifying thing that they're dealing with this harp, if they didn't do it, it would be 100 degrees all over the country. So they are making this weather. What they do is they go up in the air and they fly with the chemtrails, crisscross the skies, and it makes what is a chemdome. Look and know the difference. If you see the skies, it's a complete gray, smooth. Then you will see clouds up under it. So wait a minute, if there's the clouds, what is this gray sky? You don't have blue sky and clouds no more. You have dark clouds and you have this gray stuff. That's chemdome. They create that. With these airplanes, they go up in there and they drop this chemtrails and create chemdome, and then it changes the weather. So it'll start warming up one day. They'll go up there with a plane and crisscross the sky, and the next thing it's freezing. They're creating that because the atmosphere above this is changing. So but they're running out of time, because soon the guns and the bombs won't work. You see, because what is going on is that the particular era in which this particular atmosphere before and stuff is actually completely worn down. The only thing here is that they got to keep you distracted, because they know, like I said, Farrakhan said, if they went to war with you, if they were to just get 3,000 black people to think the same at one time, it would be over. But pretty soon it ain't gonna matter, because what's going on inside of us is happening biologically anyway. And within a couple of weeks, couple of months, this shit is over. It's here. The cracker know it. He over there doing what he got to do. And plus, they say they have them wars, because what they do is they take 20 years and they make all these new weapons. And then they have to see what works and what don't, and they got to use up all them weapons. And they doing all that shit now because they know pretty soon the atmosphere get ready to change. Let you in on a little secret. We can change this shit tomorrow. We can change it tomorrow. You know, it's just a matter of you doing what you got to do based on your minds and based on your heart chakras. We can change this thing tomorrow. Now, this is one way you can change it. So we are the DMT spirit molecule that they're talking about in here, which is hallucinogenics. It's us. Now, this is the book by Rick Strassman, Strassman, MD. Rick Strassman. Now, how can you change the atmosphere? You can change the atmosphere. It don't matter if you're 75. They had a whole special on Discovery New York Times on women in their 70s that based on the baby doing, it has a couple of black women, it has some white women. They're saying that they are not going to accept that their sexuality is supposed to change because of their age. So they got a lot of women now around the country, you see what I'm saying, is still dealing with their sexuality as far as screwing. You see what I'm saying? So there's a whole era coming on and stuff like this. And this is the mystery. They got black celibate societies where they're telling these black women, you got to go celibate. Now, this is the mystery on how you're going to change the atmosphere. You don't even need a man to do it. But this goddess Lakshmi has a mantra, which is a mandala, called a Shri mantra. Let's see if I got a picture of the Shri mantra. I knew it was something I didn't bring. I didn't get a good picture. I didn't bring a picture of the Shri mantra. I knew it was something. Always, you know, the Shri mantra. She has a mantra, and in the middle of the mantra is several pyramids. A mantra is look like a flower, but in the middle of the mantra is several pyramids. And within those pyramids, they got one little black dot. And that's the home of where the realm or where the goddess live. You have the tree of life, which is Kabbalistic system. Then you have something behind the tree called the Kalipoth. And the Kalipoth will rule. The Kalipoth will come after this tree, which is the present universe. It will rule in the future. Now, there's a place within the black woman, which is the Kalipoth, that can change the atmosphere. You can do it with your partner, or you can do it by yourself, and that's called the G-spot. If you start working with massaging the G-spot, you can do it with your middle index finger, sit on the toilet and start massaging. Don't matter if you're 85 years old. The older may be the more powerful. And you start massaging the G-spot, or you can get your man to take his two fingers and stick up in the vagina and cuff until he finds what that G-spot is, directly behind the inner walls of the vagina. Here's a whole book called Female Ejaculation in the G-spot. Female Ejaculation in the G-spot by Deborah Sundai. Sundahi. Sundahi. This is real serious shit. It's high in melatonin. And there's a mantra to it, because even in this book, The Dragon Legacy, where they're telling on Bush and them, they're dropping on this G-spot, and they say there's a mantra you can called Lulu Ah. Let me see G-spot. There's some good shit here now. I'm here to tell you. It's a whole nother dimension. I became an expert at pulling what is called a cosmic trigger. It's called a Graftenberg spot. You know, pulling the cosmic trigger on this thing right here. That's the real cosmic trigger. Y'all all right? Now hold on now. It's but I want to where's the Graftenberg spot? It's called the G spot or the Graftenberg spot, but there's a mantra called Lu Ah. You know, do the Ebonics, because I can't get the page right now. Lu Ah, just remember that. And so you go in there and so what's going to happen here is this here, you're going to start working with it. It's going to feel like you got to urinate it first. But after a couple of days or a couple of weeks, it starts to open up. There's a gateway, and the more and more you start massaging the G-spot, the more and more you open up that gateway to universe B, which is the other universe. It's inside of your legs. So you got to go in and you got to start massaging the G-spot. The Graftenberg spot or the G-spot. You can do it with the man, or you don't have to have a man. And the more and more you massage it, the more and more you will start to, female ejaculation, you'll start to emit a pace. And that's, the rivers will start to flow. That's called the eonic waters of return. So that's the gateway. It ain't all out here, it's in you. So you're going to have to start opening up the G-spot. This book here gives you everything on it. Female ejaculation in the G-spot, Lulu-R. That's the one you that's the one you want to deal with. That's the one you want to deal with. Now, this picture here, if you focus on this picture and focus on it, you can transport yourself back there to the temple and where this was built. This was built to have a certain reaction within you. This is why they don't show these particular temples. This is why they don't show black love. So the Spirit said, no, get the book and put these together and bring that out, because this is a book from the 60s. You know, I got one from the 80s and stuff, from the 90s, a book of the temple. But this is the one from the 60s, one of the first ones that came. I said, get that book. They say, and you can tap into that stuff. It can also, it can be erotic. You can, by you focusing on this, you transfer it in the subconscious mind, and the males will come and stuff that's going on here. But it's also, so it's a talisman. These things are not just pretty pictures. And our people didn't build these temples over there for just you to come and think that this some pretty pictures to look at. You see what I'm saying? It's an actual talisman that's going on. Huh? Yeah, it has a purpose. Give me some questions right quick.
Bobby,
yeah.
You talked about the rituals and what to look for. You mentioned the sexuality blade. What other films that are out there we need to look at?
Okay, there's a movie that just, as good you said that. Okay. They say if they can't beat them, join them. So there's a movie just came out yesterday called Darkness. I was lucky to get an advanced DVD of it from them Africans down there, you know. Them Africans got a whole network. I don't know how they do. They got motherfuckers inside the movie studios. So I got a DVD of it a week before it came out. It's a little off, you know, you know, it's a little, the words ain't hooked up with the mouth, but hell, I grew up on Kung Fu flicks, so I can dig that. You know, it's a bootleg. But anyway, in this movie, they talked about them having, it's called Darkness, but I'm thinking I'm going to go see this on the big screen. They talked about there's something in a child's fears of the darkness, that where he's fearing actually a primal essence and where he came from before creation. So they said that about 40 years ago, they tried to get together 7 children to sacrifice them to bring back this darkness, but one got away. Now, what happened 40 years ago? 40 years ago was the 100-year anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation. It was Frank Herbert's Dune came out. Malcolm X was killed. Hell, that was enough right there. Especially Malcolm making the transition. Now, because it came out Christmas Day, but it's meant for 2005. So they said 40 years later, they was going back to get this one child that got away so that they could bring on the darkness. Let me tell you what these crackers did. They did a ritual yesterday in this movie. Usually in these movies where they have this sinister plot to bring on the darkness or destroy the world, they usually good always comes in and prevails and saves the day. I got so sick of damn good, I didn't know what to damn do. Do you know in this movie they let the damn darkness win? In the ritual? And I said, oh, that's a ritual. If they can't beat the chaotic melanin realm, they're trying to join it. So that's one to look for. Now the movie Blade 3, they did one thing in the movie, although they went to Iraq to get this Dracula. They showed in the movie, they had these vampires that said they got one in every city where they got these people hooked up and they draining this blood from them. That's the same thing they're doing at what they call public storage. Where they say they get these homeless, nobody miss them, and they do experiments on them. It's in the movie, but it's also what they've been doing in public storage where these homeless been disappearing. You see what I'm saying? So they've dropped that in the movie. The next one is Species 3. It came out on video. It didn't go to the movie, it came out on video. And in the movie now, you gotta read the lines. The white girl in the movie that's the species is actually the black woman. She's perfect. She can't find no white man to mate with. because they're imperfect. But there's some other half-breeds that's dying, and they need her, which is white folks, and they need this perfect DNA to try to mix. But even in this movie, they let her live. But you just got to change the characters. The half-breeds are white people. The species woman who is blue-eyed and blonde hair, that's to throw you off. That's the black woman. See, they code it that way. And you get that species 3. You know, they code it that way now. This is the other thing. You got 28 Days that came out last summer, summer 2003. The next summer, 2004, they had Dawn of the Dead that came out, and it's about something gets in the blood. And they've been having these things since the Night of the Living Dead. And this zombie come, and you go wild and crazy. So they showed it on 28 Days. Now, this is all about melanin. Summer 2003, so get that movie, 28 Days. Then Dawn of the Dead came out this summer, or this May, and was #1 in the movies the first weekend, and it's about the same thing getting in the blood and people going crazy. Now stick with me. Then they had this spring Shaun of the Dead that came out, and it's basically Dawn of the Dead again, but they put it in a comedy form, but it's serious dropping up in there. And basically who get bitten turns into this zombie or these demons or this wild beast. What's getting ready to so it's a story. Why would Universal Studios put out Dawn of the Dead and Shaun of the Dead the same year? It's because they're trying to tell a story that in our bloodlines, you think you crazy now, but you're going to be even more crazy when certain astronomical configuration, they say they got a big day on June the 7th, January the 6th or something.
January the 6th, but last night, Mercury, Mars, and Venus.
These shits are all lining up. They're lining up monthly. And when that happens, the invasion is going to come from the inside out. You getting ready to turn into this other species that's coming out of you. And that's why the white man is evacuating America by shutting the shit down and putting it under Homeland Security. You see, the real terrorist in the mythology is not some Arabs. The real terrorist is Kali, the ancient black goddess, and her spawn, which is talking about a melanin invasion, the melanin turning into some type of new entity, and the invasion is coming from the inside of you out, and you getting ready to turn into something, and they preparing for the goddamn shit. That's what this thing is about. The invasion is coming from the inside out, and you getting ready to go crazy. Now, they got a white boy that says that time is speeding up. He's telling white folks. He said, time's speeding up. He said, now, for us, we getting ready to go crazy because we're not going to be able to deal with the time because, you know, they're all on time. Hi, Hitler. That's why they on time. We'll be on time. That's why we can't make it nowhere on time. So they say the time is speeding up. And they say you're going to go crazy. So the white folks in this tape say, well, what can we do? They say you're going to have to get like sports figures, black folks. They say under enormous pressure, they are able to grab the ball with time running out and shoot calmly. And you say, how do they do it with the whole world watching and 100,000 people? And make the shot or make the play, they say, because what? Sports figures know how to what? Get into the zone. It's called getting into the zone. Musicians do it. Black folks do it. I used to do it when I used to give, we call it giving hell in South Carolina. They call it joning. You know, reputation online, motherfucker, they call it ranking up north, and a nigga is giving you hell. I don't know what they call it here. Ranking or joning. Huh? Bussing. And the pressure is on, the motherfucker is winning, and you got to get into the zone and think up some shit to come out on this nigga's ass with to win the damn zone. You know what we call it? They call it giving the dozens in the day. It's an art form to this shit. It's enormous pressure. Motherfuckers laughing at your ass. And you got to come up with some genius, comedic stuff to make the crowd laugh under enormous pressure because motherfucker talking about some shit about you and your mama and everybody else. You know, mama and everybody else and stuff like that, dog. Like one girl, she was the best. She was the best. But she fucked around and her daddy made a damn homemade motorcycle out of bicycle and a lawnmower. And some of the niggas from the high school saw the daddy downtown riding a homemade motorcycle. And fucked around and she come up in there with her shit, motherfucker. Oh, I got you, your daddy riding a homemade motorcycle. Got her ass. Say your daddy riding a homemade motorcycle downtown. And she had to put her goddamn head down like this. Said, we got your ass, motherfucker. Because she was the best. He said, we got you. We saying, goddamn, your daddy downtown riding a homemade motorcycle with a lawnmower motor. Him and another nigga. Got her ass. So the nigga had to think, he used that MO, and when she got on his ass, he came out with it. So we talking about getting into the zone. Yeah. Yeah.